say in the Holocaust, or even in the situation with Russia and Ukraine right now. We want teachers to have the flexibility to delve into those topics and to ask difficult questions. Yes, you should talk about these atrocities that have happened in history, but you also do have an obligation to point out the value that each individual brings to the table. Maybe you listen to it from the perspective of a German soldier.
That was a Republican representative from Ohio earlier this year trying to defend a controversial bill proposed in the state's House by arguing that teachers should educate students about both sides of the Holocaust. Extreme positions like that one are just one of the reasons our next guest says the most dangerous attacks on American democracy are happening at the state level. David Pepper is the former chairman of Ohio's Democratic Party and author of the new book, A Simple Choice. Also with us, founder and CEO of All In Together, Lauren Leader. Good to have you both with us. David, let's talk about this concept of what's happening at the state level. Where do you think the threat lies?
You know, if you look closely, the front line of the attack on democracy and core rights is at the state house level. Over the last several decades, these have become these institutions because of gerrymandering and voter suppression and the fact that most people don't pay attention to them. They are the perfect place to ram through a deeply unpopular and extreme agenda without having any accountability. So you were just talking in the prior segment how the only thing that happened when Trump was president was a tax cut. That's because most of what they're doing, they do through state houses where no one's watching. Almost their entire agenda, from attacking abortion rights to anti-equality to banning books to attacking voters, it's all through state houses because they can do it there and get away with it and not get knocked out of office. So if you want to put into place a minority worldview, you can do it through state houses in a way that would never work at Washington or at the local level. And until Democrats go to where that battle is and get beyond just federal, the other side will always be on offense in those state houses.
Lauren Leader, your group, All In Together, often is fighting for the rights of women, for the voices that don't get heard as often or treated fairly. What is your group doing on this front?
Yeah, and David is right about how undemocratic in some ways state houses are around the country. I pulled some numbers. Of the, there are a huge number of state houses that have Republican trifectas. You've got 30 state houses that are Republican majority versus 18 Democrat, 32 state senates versus 18 Democrats. And if you look at just the breakdown of where voters are in many of those states, it doesn't match up. Even in Ohio, where there's a Republican trifecta, there's actually more Democrats registered in the state. So David is right that one of the fundamental issues is that Americans don't get involved in state politics. And for years now, some of the most contentious and important issues are being litigated in the state houses. So a big part of what we try to do is get voters, and especially women voters, to start focusing on who their state representatives are at the state Senate and state House, get involved with them, understand where they stand, and frankly show up to vote. We've also talked about how often state legislators run unopposed in places like Florida and Texas, where you've got a very substantial number of seats that run with no Democrat even trying to, fight those Republican candidates. So it's a serious problem, and Americans really need to start focusing. The Supreme Court is pushing more and more issues back to the states. That means Americans need to pay attention to where the most important politics is happening.
Yeah, so don't just get out the vote and vote yourself, but step up and run. Mike Barnicle.
David, my question to you has to do with two political parties, the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, on a national basis. And don't we sort of have to give credit where credit is due? Fully, I think, a majority of states, state legislatures, state secretaries of state office, which is going to be critical in terms of who votes and how they can vote and what votes are counted in the following, in 2024 and 2026. The Republicans seem to put more energy, more money, more emphasis on helping Republican parties in various states build their parties and build their ability to get people elected than do the Democrats. Do you agree with that? And what do you figure the cost is going to be?
Yeah, I mean, for a generation, and by the way, it's beyond the Republican Party. It's way more than Ron McDaniel. It's the Koch brothers. It's Alec. A generation ago, they figured out it was a much better investment for them to control democracy through state houses than try and win on a fair fight at Congress. But I won't give them credit on extreme gerrymandering or voter suppression. They've taken the power in state houses and used it to subvert democracy. Democrats are catching up. But yeah, they're way ahead. I want to pick up, though, on one thing that Lauren said, and this is something that I try and go through in my book, Laboratories of Autocracy. It's not only that they're in majorities when they don't represent the majority of these states. They are drawing districts so that almost to a person in these state houses, not a single one of them ever worries about an election, ever. They're either unchallenged or it's such a blowout they might as well be, or the other side is so underfunded. Once you take political accountability back to the people out of the equation of these individual office holders' minds, all the incentives that we think lead to good behavior, good public outcomes, that's how you get reelected. Don't be an extremist, you'll lose your office. Once there's no accountability, all those incentives get warped. We now have incentives to be extremists. That's how you get ahead in their broken, undemocratic systems. You don't have an incentive to deliver good public results because back home, they can't vote you out anyway. There's a lot more of an incentive to do the bidding of certain private interests that are sitting at the state capitol. They're paying attention, even if the people back home aren't. And they also have this terrible incentive to keep subverting democracy because, like we saw in Kansas, if their extremism and terrible public outcomes, if there's ever a referendum on those in a fair district, they will lose. So they have to keep gerrymandering. So there's a downward spiral happening in so many states because in a system with no accountability, all the incentives are flipped on their head. And until we add accountability back to these states through good candidates, by unrigging them, by supporting candidates, not just in a few swing states for federal purposes, until we add that accountability back, I'm afraid we'll continue to see this downward spiral.
David, can you speak a little bit more to the gerrymandering situation in Ohio? Because it's a very specific one. Jane Mayer had this amazing piece in the New Yorker this week that you and I spoke about that points out that, in fact, their federal judges throughout the maps in Ohio found them illegally gerrymandered in favor of Republicans. And basically, they just ran out the clock and sort of ignored the legal ramifications of those maps. What is the solution?
Yeah.
Does the Justice Department need to get involved and go after states that then are just blatantly ignoring the legal challenges to their maps? Obviously, federal legislation is one answer, but what do we do in the case of Ohio, where they just literally, the legislature just ignored the fact that the maps were thrown out by judges and found illegal?
One, they broke the law for 8 months, and I think there should be accountability, just like at the highest levels, for breaking the law. Two, Ohioans have a choice this November over our Supreme Court races. And if we want to hold the line to stop gerrymandering, we have to win those. Third, though, and I love all the stuff you talked about with Joe Biden, the federal government must pass the voting rights bills in front of them. This is a critical moment. We can't let this window pass. One of the parts of those bills that would make a big difference for Ohio is it would curb partisan gerrymandering. It's sitting right in front of them. And if they did it, it would help eliminate the race to the bottom we're seeing across the country when it comes to gerrymandering.
The new book is A Simple Choice. David Pepper, thank you so much for writing the book and for being on the show this morning. And Lauren Leader, as always, thank you as well for being on this morning. And